GPU, the show.
Welcome to Global Game Jam in Sacramento, the 48-hour game development challenge where we have almost 30 developers working on 3 different games. Some here at Lab 7 Co-working downtown in Sacramento, some working remotely. The ones who are here have been here for over 24 hours working on 2 of those 3 games. And let me tell you, take a look around. You wouldn't be able to tell it, but they've been awake nonstop. Lots of coffee, can't even tell they're exhausted, but look at this guy over here. This is Tom. Look at his eyes. They're not bloodshot yet, but he still has 24 hours left to work on that game. We have a lot of things going on here. Last night, 24 hours ago, when the theme was released, there was a lot of activity, a lot of commotion. It's been a great jam so far, and we're here to show you all about it.
Everybody, I am Donna Basic Tac Walters here with GPU the show. Today we are at Global Game Jam Sacramento, put on and hosted by Sacramento Developer Collective here for the 9th year in a row, which is just amazing. But hosting it at Lab 7 Co-working, it is just absolutely amazing. Global Game Jam this year has teams of local artists, voice actors, game developers, storyliners, more, with just all different types of skill levels that are here gathering together to create a game around a central theme, which we'll find out here pretty soon. This is amazing. It looks like this year's theme for 2023 is Roots. And Roots is really cool. I love when we get these really, just kind of simple, generic kind of themes because it invites different interpretations of what that theme can be and how you can execute the game. So looking at Roots, there's so many different avenues that you can take. It could be plants. It could be root canal. It could be, going back to your origins, your family tree. There's so many different options. So I cannot wait to see what these teams are actually going to come up with.
And we can show you. Hey everyone, my name is Taylor. I'm Adam. And we are, as you know, here at the Global Game Jam. 2 teams going, not really head-to-head. They're working together collaboratively to make 2 different games. A couple stats, Adam, you have on past game jams. What you got?
Yes, well, just for the current one, they have until tomorrow, February 5th at 5 p.m. each team's respective time zone to finish their game. And if we look back just 1 year before this, 2022, the Global Game Jam.
Got it.
I did it there. The theme was duality, and they had over 5,800 games that year. And then 1 year prior, 2021, that theme was lost and found, and over 6,000 games.
And this is across the whole world. The global
Right. We're going back in time each year. 2020 was the Global Game Jam boom. That theme was repair, and they had the highest amount of games made in the Global Game Jam history, and that was over 9,600 games.
I can't wait to see how many we get over the course of this year over all the countries. Considering we've had if you're breaking the rules, you had 10 days to make your game.
yeah. This year, if you check the Global Game Jam Instagram Instagram page, you can see some of the games made across the world. We've seen anything from 2D platformers to city building sims, also some VR tabletop games that have been pretty cool.
Some really impressive stuff considering you're supposed to only have 48 hours to do this. But speaking of the 48 hours, we're here about 24 hours in. We're halfway through. Last night, Donna was here checking with everyone as they announced the theme, Roots, and let's see some of the pitches for the two games that are being made here today behind us.
Hi, the game idea I'm pitching right now is one based around a family tree and finding your roots. So the idea would be somewhat close to the game Return to the Obra Dinn, where it's the idea is that you have to figure out your family lineage. So let's say you start with your parents to your great-grandparents to great-grandparents, and you got to figure out how they are all related to each other by, I'd imagine the game would take place in one room, and so by researching the room, you could find old notes, diaries, and stuff, and kind of like in an old crossword puzzle-like fashion, you have to kind of eliminate who's related to who or kind of figure it out. So let's say, for instance, you find an old diary from a girl named Lisa. Well, you see on the family tree whiteboard, I'm assuming, there's a picture of a girl, her name is Lisa. And so she talks about her grandfather, Pop-Pop, or whatever. And so you have an idea who Lisa is, you have an idea who Pop-Pop is, but you kind of have to figure, that's kind of what you only know. So you kind of figure out, like, okay, who's her grandmother? And whatnot. So there'd be various clues scattered around the room, and so the player would probably have to kind of take notes, try to cross-examine all that jazz. And so you could put the pictures or faces onto an actual family tree, and then once you think, okay, I got this, you press submit, you're judged on how well you did, and that's the game. So yeah, that's my idea.
Right, any other pitches? Come on up. And just so we remember, I'm about to give you kind of like little code names. So you're living, building, tree. Unless if you have a name for your game, I'm going to say that too, so we kind of like remember them as we go back through. You're like a tree in space. You're a family tree. You don't like whiteboard this down, so it's a lot easier to keep track of.
So the game that I have in mind is actually, it's kind of like the one that Jim pitched, in that you got a sapling, and as you play through the game, the sapling has various abilities. Of course, it can jump, but the main things that it can do is it can root into the ground. And it's more of a story-driven game rather than something challenging. The idea is that there's a little girl who made friends with the tree, and the little girl, her emotions control the weather. So as the little girl goes through her various stages of emotions, the weather changes, and the tree has to adapt to the weather as it's changing from her emotions. So the game would be played out over 4 different parts, each part representing a different emotion that the little girl is experiencing. And it has a lot of inspirations from Gris and the Giving Tree. So if you're familiar with those, you sort of have an idea of where the story and the game will be going from there. But if you're not, you can come talk to me afterwards and I can sort of tell you what's going on with them. But this would be a very audio-heavy game. There would be as much in the way of level design, mechanics, that sort of stuff. Probably one person would be able to handle that. So anybody that's interested in doing art or sounds or something like that, that would definitely be very much appreciated. But that's what I got.
So yes, there you have it. 2 very different games coming out of Sacramento. If you couldn't hear that well enough, the first game from team leader Tom was about family genealogy, where you're one person stuck in a room with a family tree on it and using your detective skills and clues in the room to figure out who goes where on the tree. Kind of like a little escape room game. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, and the second team is led by Chris, and they're working on a game called Sprout, singular, I think. We'll see later on. And it's from the point of view from the sprout, the sapling of the tree, and he's watching the little girl's story unfold as her emotions control the weather. So it's a bit more, a little more X-Men for you.
Storm's origin story.
Yeah,
what I love about this is they're both using the theme roots very differently, but what they have in common is they're both very story-driven games, which I think is kind of a challenge for a 48-hour festival.
Well, maybe if you focus more on story, you can cut down on many animation or other game development. So
That
you
is
put a lot
true.
more work on the player mentally, and it saves you some development time.
Well, we'll see what they have to say about that. Don had a chance last night to talk to both team leads before they started developing. After the pitches were done, let's check in with her and see what they're saying.
All right, so I am here with Tom, who is with one of our teams focusing on roots this year for Global Game Jam. Tom is actually from Auburn and travels all the way down to Sacramento just to be at this event. So super awesome to have you here, Tom. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So what do you do in your daytime? But what's your regular job?
Well, regularly I'm a programmer. Right now, though, I am with a company called Mind Jam, where we tutor / play games with special needs kids.
That's fantastic. That's super cool. So how did you hear about Global Game Jam Sacramento? Because this is the second year you've been doing it.
Well, I heard about it just online. I'm a game developer professionally, and so I always, like to, go out and meet the people like-minded like me. So, when I moved here to Auburn, not here to Auburn. When I moved to Auburn, I started looking up, game jams or, video game developer meetups, and that's how I discovered Sac Game Jam.
That's really cool. Well, it's fantastic to have you here. So as a game developer in the professional space, about how long does it normally take, do you think, for games to be developed and created?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a question. That's a good question. It depends on the product. I've mostly worked in the educational video game sector, so the trials and tribulations are a bit different from what you'd see in the, maybe indie / AAA scene.
Okay.
So stuff I usually develop takes around 3 to 4 months, but that's usually has a lot of back end already developed for it. It's usually for a very simplistic and purpose. So yeah.
Awesome. But 3 to 4 months. And remember, we're only doing this in 48 hours, one weekend. I mean, that is a significant difference than 3 to 4 months. Do you think that you're going to be able to create a game in this short a time?
Oh, I certainly hope so.
All right. Well, speaking of the game, tell us a little bit about the one that you and your team are creating.
Yeah, so for this one, the theme of this game jam was roots. And so kind of going off that, I thought about family roots and my family, and I have a very, very large family. On my dad's side alone, my grandfather had 18 children.
Oh, my gosh.
So so sometimes it can be a pain to figure out, okay, who's son, who's the cousin, who's the, yada, yada, yada. And so for this idea, I thought it'd be fun to kind of create a detective game, but where you're kind of unraveling your family roots and your family trees. And so the game is a mix between Clue and maybe a crossword puzzle, where you're in a room, like a study, and you have a family tree, and you can make connection between, the various people. And so the goal of the game is to recreate an accurate enough family tree, and you're given clues all throughout to see, okay, so-and-so is this person's son. If that means this person's that son, that means that this other person's their grandfather, So it's using logic and deduction to kind of figure it out.
That's awesome. So from what I remember, you have a couple different game developers on your team.
Yes.
You have an artist, you have a sound engineer. I mean, you've got a pretty good wide range of different talents. That's fantastic. And I think one of them is working on, if I remember correctly, a diary kind of, look in the game where you can start referencing some of the stories that help you piece together who belongs where in that family tree. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So how long do you think that this is going to take you to put, the brainstorming together and then put it actually into some of the artwork and start combining all of it together? Will you get that done within 24 hours, or do you think it'll take most of that 48 hours?
I think it's going to take most of that 48 hours. I think the hardest part is going to be getting the logic just right so it makes sense to the player. But we don't have a 3D modeler on the project, so we're going to primarily be relying on pre-bought assets.
Okay.
That all of us kind of already collectively own on ourselves to kind of recreate that scene. And so actually getting that all set up may not take that long.
Okay.
I think what's going to take the longest part is going to be the hardest is getting the dynamic cork board that we're kind of planning out to make sure it's visually intuitive to the player and to, make sure it makes sense. The player is making connections in an intuitive manner.
Gotcha.
So, and I also another thing is going to be definitely creating a lot of writing. There's going to be a lot of writing writing in this game.
Everybody doubling down on all that writing.
Yeah, usually a lot of video game projects, you don't always need a writer, especially for kind of smaller stuff, because it's usually more gameplay focused. But for this one, we were very glad to have a dedicated writer to us, because there's gonna be a lot of notes to shift through. There's gonna be a lot of things to go through. So having someone dedicated to doing that, while some of us can focus on the design/programming side, is gonna be a huge help.
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the organization process and planning, right? Because it's essentially you have to, with such a short period of time, do a lot of project management, do a lot of maybe some kind of like a Gantt chart formation where you're saying, okay, this is how much time we have to spend on this certain segment, but then this is the quality assurance part where we have to actually test to make sure there's no bugs. Tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now it's going to be, at least for tonight, it's going to be focused on, okay, making the blueprint for which we can build off of. Tomorrow, I'm going to guess, is going to be building in technology. Probably, we have quite a few programmers. We have 3 programmers on the team. So my guess is one of us is going to be focused on getting the interaction system set up with maybe some of the movement. Another person's going to be focused on getting the cork board set up, and another person's going to be probably focused on helping either one of those, and maybe even doing some of the getting the objects in the scene. When it comes to art, our artist is probably going to be focused on getting in the portraits for the family tree in, as well as making some decorations around the living space you're going to be playing in the game. And our sound guy is going to be making sound effect noises. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, great. Well, I can't wait to see what the finished product looks like. I wish you the best of luck. I mean, 48 hours, like we said, is just such a short amount of time. And you already know what that crunch time is going to feel like, because you're already working in the industry. So
Coffee.
That's
the secret.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and go back to the floor. Maybe try and talk to a couple of other folks that are on different teams, or maybe even Tom's team as well, just to kind of get a different perspective. But we'll see y'all in just a second.
Thank you very much.
All right, we are back. We are here with Chris. Chris, welcome to Global Game Jam. This is not your first one. You've been to like 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yep. So I have been to 2 or 3. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit older, so it's hard to keep track of these things.
I totally get that. And you're pretty close by. You're local-ish, right, from Natomas. And so you come and drive down here. So it takes you, what, like 20, 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, normally 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's
there.
not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, there's some people that come from like Stockton.
Yeah.
That's an hour away. That's crazy.
One of the guys on our team is actually from Davis. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So long drive. But I mean, it's totally worth it, right? Because Global Game Jam Sacramento is just such a really cool place. And you belong to the Sac Dev Collective, which actually hosts Global Game Jam 9th year in a row, by the way, which is, I'm sure you already know that, which is really cool. But tell me what you do with Sacramento Developer Collective.
I'm a game developer, so really I participate in the game jams. That's mostly what I do. I have actually been talking about trying to get on to help out more with them, perhaps work on their social media, stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do a little social media management as well?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Trying to. Getting into the game, trying to get in there a little bit.
I like to be helpful.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so game developer, but you're not just a game developer, you're a tabletop game developer.
Typically, yes. So I do try to venture into video game development once or twice a year for the Progressive Game Jam and the Global Game Jam here. But primarily what I do is tabletop game development, yeah.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about Progressive Game Jam, because I know that's something that's different than Global Game Jam, which is what we're doing today. So what is Progressive Game Jam?
Right. So the Progressive Game Jam is actually something that the Sac Dev Collective host annually, and the idea behind the Progressive Game Jam is, rather than a 2-day game jam where you try and pump out a minimum viable product within 2 days, with the Progressive Game Jam it's a much longer experience. You have,
thank goodness,
6 months typically, 6 to 9 months depending on
so
what
like
year it is.
An actual legitimate amount of time to develop a game.
And it's supposed to be a full game from start to finish. That's the goal.
Okay, fantastic. Now you are on a team here for Global Game Jam. You're creating your own game. Can you tell me a little bit about your team, what the composition looks like, and then about the game that you're creating?
Sure. So our team, we have 1 artist here in person, 1 artist online. we have myself. I'm working the game design, level design, so on and so forth. We have 3 programmers,
Okay.
which is quite nice. And hopefully they can get along and not step on each other's toes too much. And then we have a sound designer, which is also nice because those are kind of hard to come by sometimes.
I can totally understand. Well, it sounds like, because we talked to the other team too that's upstairs, and it sounds like you all have a pretty similar layout or composition of team members, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually pretty common as far as, at least here in Sacramento, as far as the game jams go, to have a lot of coders and
Okay.
not a lot of artists. So,
Oh, okay.
Definitely, if we could get more artists in, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your game.
Yep, so we're doing a game called Sprout, where you play as a Sprout who's befriended a little girl. This particular little girl has control over the weather through her emotions.
Oh.
And so it's a very story-heavy game. As you play through the game, you get to experience the little girl's emotions from the Sprout's perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty neat. So, okay, I got a question for you though, right? So, if it's a sprout, it needs to grow, and it needs water to grow. And I can only imagine that the only time it rains is when the little girl's sad.
Right.
So, does
Yeah.
the sprout have to like purposely make the little girl cry?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm not that evil.
Okay, just checking.
No, actually, we're going to be doing it through stages. So one stage, the little girl's happy, so it's sunny and fun, and then in a different stage, she's not having a good time, and
Not
so
having
it's
a good time.
rainy and nasty out. Yeah.
So, if she's like really angry, is there gonna be like bolts of lightning that come down that the sprout has to kind of avoid?
Well, you'll have to play the game yourself.
Oh,
to
I
see.
can't wait.
We do have
I
anger
can't
in there.
wait.
You'll have to play the game yourself to see how it pans out, though.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see what this game is going to look like. Tell me about the 40, I was going to say 24 hour. I don't want to make it any shorter than it actually is.
We don't have time.
The 48-hour time frame. I mean, it is so incredibly short. You just said so. Progressive Game Jam is like 6 to 9 months that actually give you an appropriate time to develop a basic game. How do you feel about this shortened time frame?
Ooh, it's tough, but it's an all-nighter.
It's an all-nighter.
That's what you got to do.
All right, sounds good. So what is the plan to keep your team motivated and energized enough to really keep focusing on the end goal, which is to have a finished product that's playable, as bug-free as possible, and fun?
Monsters.
Meaning like the energy drink, not necessarily, like people getting upset and then
Yeah.
we out and then, angry
Well,
girl over the
maybe.
sprout. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like, scare them into compliance, right?
To be fair, our artist over there, he's doing a great job, Kip.
Okay.
His name's Kip. He's doing a great job, and pumping out an animation. That's actually really motivating. So, monsters, both in the energy drink, but also in the game.
I love
seeing
it.
a nice finished animation. That's a lot of motivation.
Fantastic. Well, do you have any tips, tricks, bits of advice for anybody that has never done a game jam, or if this is their first game jam?
Whew. I don't really like to give tips as far as game design goes.
Okay.
And that's have a breadth of experience. Know a lot about a lot of things if you want to do game design.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I don't want to take too much time away from you and your amazing game with that little sprout and that little girl. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be just phenomenal. So I can't wait to play. Congratulations on venturing on to another Global Game Jam and Progressive Game Jam. And thank you for your work with Sac Dev Collective. I hope you get that social media management position. I think that'd be really cool.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Make sure you like my post if you do become social media manager. Okay. Just share,
share,
all that.
subscribe.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and head back out. Let these folks do their thing. They only have 48 hours. I know we keep saying it, but such a short amount of time. I cannot believe it. But we're going to go ahead and head back to that floor. We'll talk with you soon.
Thank you, Donna. So as you can see, 2 team leads here that both have really strong roots in
Oh,
the game
good one.
development community here in Sacramento. Tom, professional game developer, he's
Yeah.
part of the scene.
Yeah, we're seeing some game developer veterans come in for this Global Game Jam. So a bit higher expectations than we may
Coming
have
out of
had.
Sacramento, putting us on
Yep.
the map maybe in
Yep.
terms of our developers.
Fingers crossed.
While they're working, we're going to break away just for a few minutes to go check out my friend Billy, who owns the Sac Tech Exchange just a few blocks away from here, a good supporter of the game development community here and overall tech and music scene here in Sacramento. Thank you for that excellent toss. Yes, I'm at the Sacramento Tech Exchange with my friend Billy Lane here. Billy, this is not just a place where you can get your computer repaired. Tell me about your shop a little bit.
Well, what we're trying to do is to bring personality and creativity into tech and have a boutique shop, especially for the creatives out there in the Sacramento area. That's the goal.
A lot of creatives like the people there at Global Game Jam today. You have, I know you as a drum and bass DJ. You've been the DJ guy for a long time, and you kind of got into streaming in the past couple years. Tell me about how that's worked out for you.
Well, yes, I was a professional DJ for many years. I DJ'd at EDC in 2001, Nocturnal back in 2000. I'm a lot older now, obviously. I told my daughter that I did that, and she said they didn't even know EDC existed back in 2001. So there you go for that. But yeah, my career as a DJ has spanned from a national performer to your local guy that does the nightclubs and things like that. And when that whole business model shut down during the pandemic, because all live events basically came to a screeching halt for good reason, a lot of us were kind of left in limbo as to what we can do with our very unique skill sets as creators and as DJs and performers. And so a lot of us moved to the live streaming platform, particularly Twitch, and started moving in the direction of becoming content creators on Twitch and streaming full time. This is over 2020 and 2021, and it was very successful. It created a lot of supplemental income and also opened my eyes to a whole new global audience that was into the music that I was making. And so
You gained a bit of a following out there, yeah?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Twitch is very supportive of folks that are online who write their original music and perform it as a DJ. And so the fact that I jumped online and was playing music that I made kind of gave me sort of a leg up in a lot of ways into discoverability with Twitch, and that boosted it up really fast. In the summer of 2020, we gained thousands of followers, and it's been an amazing ride so far.
With that background, that's why the shop has a lot of DJ equipment and stuff. This is really like what you're trying to push out here in this region, right?
100%. If you're into DJing, if you're into music or audio and video production, and also if you're into streaming, live streaming your games, or if you're into live streaming any music and video production, we're trying to be here for that. And 100%.
It looks like you got a leg up on. I've seen some shops that are around here, and you guys are definitely moving into like the modern era. It looks really nice in here. Lastly, you're also a big gamer. I've seen you at Street Fighter tournaments. Who's your main, and how do you support gaming community out here?
Right now, I'm playing a game called Guilty Gear Strive, and Axel Low is my main. I'm a zoner because I'm a boomer like that, and I like to play the zone. And if you're going back to the 20th century, back in my day, Fortnite was called Street Fighter, and all of us played it. It was everywhere, all over the arcades and eventually into the home systems. And so I've been a Guile main my whole life. I've been playing Guile since the Pizza Parlor. For those of you who remember back in the day, it was Birdcage Arcade was where you showed your stuff. And so I would play at the local Rico's Pizza by my house. And then once I felt I was strong enough, I would take my skills out to Birdcage and let them know. And there was tournaments back then, offline tournament. Well, everything was offline back then. So, but there was real tournaments back then, and we all did it. We did the dang thing back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a lot since then, but you're still rocking Guile. 6 comes out pretty soon. You're probably still going to be a Guile guy on Street Fighter 6.
Looking at it. Yeah, maybe DJ too. Who knows? But yeah.
Well, you got to pay attention to the 916 Jungle List. Is that where you stream your gaming stuff?
Yeah, so twitch.tv/916 Jungle List is where I do all of my content. It's a wide variety of content, from actually DJing on stream to hosting online events to doing talk shows and podcasts in relation to music and technology and creativity and things like that.
A lot of stuff out there for Sacramento people and for people all over the world. Thanks, Billy, for having us. That's Sac Tech Exchange. Back to you.
All right, I am here with Ariana. Ariana, welcome to your very first Global Game Jam.
Thank you.
Where are you from?
San Jose originally.
San
yeah.
Jose originally, but you are now located, I think you were saying in Stockton, right?
Around that area.
Around that area?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're driving all the way out to Sacramento just for this Global Game Jam?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So that, for those that may not know, is about an hour drive or so, give or take, depending on traffic, of course, right? But just to come to Global Game Jam and, you know, celebrate and everything that we're doing. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background. You are an artist for this team. How did you get started with, or how did you find Global Game Jam, first of all? And then what made you decide to join the team?
Yeah, so I have wanted to work in the, you know, as a game dev for a while, and I wasn't sure where I would fit in. And I have a background in graphic design from my time at San Jose State, and I got it in, like, you know, graphic design, whatever. And I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't really sure. So I took a little, you know, a little time off, and then I was like, oh, UX, I could do that. UX, UI, that kind of stuff. A little bit of art, you know, here and there, like general art. So I'll be doing that for my team, and I'm pretty excited about it. It'll be a nice challenge.
That's fantastic. San Jose State has an incredible esports team. I don't know if you follow college esports, but yes, they are just kicking it. So great university, let me tell you. But that's really cool. So you went from being an artist and kind of looking to get into game development, and then really just trying it out here with this team at Global Game Jam. That is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
How long have you been drawing? How long have you been doing artwork?
Pretty much forever.
Pretty much forever?
Like on and off forever. I've lost confidence. I'm like, oh, I could do this, and then I'm like, oh no, I can't. I can't do it.
We all go through that.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? No, what I can do is like, you know, UI art, like that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna stick with what I'm confident at and lean with that.
So that's fantastic. That's your strength, and that's where you said, okay, I'm going to focus on my strengths, and, you know, forget about, you know, some of the other challenging areas, but I'm going to focus on the strengths, really get good at that, and then now you're creating something really cool in 48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours.
It's a short time frame. Does that stress? Is that like a stressful thing? Does it give anxiety? Like, tell me how you feel about that short time frame.
It's definitely anxiety inducing for sure, but I feel like I'm ready.
You are.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. 100%. So for the folks that are out there that maybe don't know what UI art is, can you talk a little bit about that and why that's different than maybe, you know, pencil and drawing on paper?
Yeah. So if you see health bars, you know, any inventory items, stuff like that, that's UI. You know, anything you see on the screen that helps you interact with the game and, you know, monitor what your player status is, that's UI art. And some of the best UI art is stuff you don't notice. So I'm hoping to lean toward that route. Maybe you don't even notice that I did anything.
Yep,
that's the goal.
but it stands for like user interface,
User interface, yes.
Okay, fantastic. And that is really cool because that's what makes a game successful, or what can help you get fully immersed into that environment.
Yeah.
So it's such a critical role for games in general. So that's amazing that you're tackling that. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what do you think you want to bring to this team here? You're working on the family tree.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how you all came up with that idea of family tree and what you're hoping to contribute to the graphics or to the artwork there.
Yeah, so it's a pretty art-heavy game. It started off with just the concept. We saw the prompt this year is roots.
Woohoo!
So we're like, okay, yeah, we can do something with like family tree, roots, that kind of thing, where people are from, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, we're thinking a literal family tree. It's a mystery. You have to piece together who's related to who, that kind of thing, and see, okay, can you figure it out? Can you get it right? Who, you know, we're going to have portraits in there. We're going to have like an association board type of deal happening. So I'm hoping to add some clarity and some like, you know, uniqueness to that mix. So hopefully make our game stand out.
That's awesome. And we were talking to Tom earlier, and he was saying it was kind of like a Clue,
yes.
you know, setting, right? And so we were looking at, you know, looking at your family tree history, trying to be, you know, kind of mysterious about, you know, who belongs where.
Yeah.
So as far as your piece of this and the artwork goes, are you designing all of the artwork, or is that something that's shared amongst your team members?
I think it'll be mostly me.
All right, good for you.
It's gonna be mostly me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what software are you planning on using to create this artwork?
Definitely Photoshop.
Photoshop, excellent.
Photoshop, probably a little bit of Figma for some of the, you know, UI elements, the user interaction elements that we'll have. Maybe a little bit of AI help as well, because I'm not that great with, like, I'm not sure what art style we're going with particularly yet. I don't know if they want it to be like real, like, oh, these could be real people pictures that we're going to put on the board for our game. I don't know. Or maybe we want to illustrate. Maybe it has to be super simple. I don't know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, are you planning on doing maybe digital artwork as well, where you actually draw the people and?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing that yet, or if I have to rely on maybe some AI stuff to help me out with some of that.
So you want to do a little bit of AI work. So tell me, what is your favorite AI program to use?
So far, I've been really having a lot of success with Artbreeder.
Artbreeder.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's where you can make portraits. You can make your own portraits. You can alter them by editing the genes and making totally new faces out of it. And you can even breed new children.
Really?
Out of those two portraits, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So let's say, for example, I have my crush, right? And I want to see if we're going to have cute babies or not. I can put a picture of my crush and I can put my picture, and then we can see what our children look like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, well, we'll be able to see if my crush and I end up working out, because if we have ugly babies, I don't know if that's going to happen. But anyway, really appreciate you coming out, Ariana. Thank you so much. I don't want to take too much of Ariana's time, so we're going to go ahead and release her back over to the Family Tree team and, kind of look and talk to some of the other teams that we have here, find out what other games that they're doing and some of that progress. So best of luck. Congratulations again on, completing or actually starting your first Global Game Jam. I can't wait to see what this game looks like. So really appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much. All right, back to you all over there. We're going to take a look at another team.
So interesting, a little bit about Tom's team there. Donna talking to Ariana, who's not here today. She was here last night for the announcement, working remotely for the rest of the festival or rest of the challenge. So we'll see what kind of wrench that throws into that team's cogs or whatever their roots.
Their mechanics. Come on. Game
come on.
development.
It was right there.
We're getting a full vehicle at the end of this. So what we've seen so far has been we're time travelers around here. That was at the beginning of the Game Jam. So now I had a chance to sit down with both team leads from both Sacramento teams, and we're going to see how they're doing right now, what challenges they've been going through, and how they are compared to when they started.
And the progress they've made. Can't wait to see this.
All right, we're here with the other team. This isn't Team Sprouts. This is the other Sacramento team, and I'm here with team lead Tom. Now, Tom, what's the working title for your game so far?
Family Roots.
Family Roots, right on the nose. I like it. Now, I heard from Donna's interview, you got a big family tree yourself.
Yeah.
And so are you going to include maybe some of those names in here as kind of like an Easter egg?
Not really. I don't want to be too close to my family. I don't want them, like, hey, why'd you include us in your game? It's like, so it's more like the general inspiration of having a big, large, kind of complicated and weird tangle family tree.
Absolutely. So far we're at the 24-hour mark. Don't remind him. So what kind of software are you using for this game jam?
We're using Unity.
And then how are you? So it's a small time crunch. So how are you guys combining your individual contributions to the larger game?
Well, that's a good question. Will right here is doing a lot of the writing. A lot of our game depends on writing. I've been doing a bit of the kind of setting up the scene and whatnot. We have an artist. Someone's working on the cork board, kind of like putting this in the game in such a way, and then right now me and Jim are kind of designing stuff as well. So we're each kind of specializing in our own thing, but we have a good enough idea of what we all want. So I feel like there's some good synergy going on. So yeah.
And I took a look at this board. I see a family affair. So is there going to be a lot of promiscuous little clues here for this?
You could say so.
The family tree gets a little complicated.
A little complicated. Maybe a little like a bush. Not to give too much away.
So do you guys think you're going to be able to make the 48-hour time crunch?
Ooh, that's a good question. Right now, I do think so. I honestly do. I think the main question right now is like, all right, what are we going to prune off to make it more simpler to reach that? Because I think like we have all the individual pieces we need. We have a good enough picture. We're not developing anything too outrageously complex technology-wise. So it's more along the lines of, okay, can we get the puzzle designs we have in to both make sense, not be too complicated, and not to, spin wildly out of control? And so to answer that question, the best way to answer it is like, okay, what needs to be pruned? So we're kind of at that stage right now where it's like, okay, is something going to need to be pruned on this family tree, or is it going to be more along the lines of, okay, we can work this in, we just got to maybe change a few elements to make the logic work? So I honestly can't tell you right now. Maybe in an hour or two, we'll see. But I do think at the end of this game jam, we will have a product.
Nice. That's great to hear. Do you think now, based upon the time crunch, are there steps you're skipping that you would usually take more time on a longer game development?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
We heard from the other team like animations are getting cut down a lot.
Yeah, I mean, our game has practically none. It has no animations. It's more, you're kind of exploring a static room, so to speak, and kind of piecing together information on your own. So,
okay, so as you unpiece the family tree more,
Yes.
other areas unlock, or just different items appear to help you?
There might be some unlockable areas. We haven't completely decided on that yet, but it's more along the lines of like you are finding a bunch of information. It's not complete just yet, but you're kind of finding this piece hints at this thing, this piece hints at this thing. So the real gameplay and the real puzzle element is kind of happening in the player's head. So player finds information A, and that they also find information B. Those two combined can lead to fact C, which hints at fact F. So we're not really spelling it out exactly, but it is a lot of the gameplay is happening in the player's head. That's also kind of we went with the puzzle design. It's like, okay, less things for us to program. So
I was gonna say that is a great way to outsource the game development.
Make the players do the hard parts.
That's what I pay for when I buy a game. Now, in such a short time span, is there anything that you guys have already accomplished that you're maybe blown away or surprised that you've already accomplished in this short amount of time?
I think one of the things we're happy with is that we've made the family tree history interesting. You know what I mean? It could have been, we still have to write out more of the story, what have you, but the blueprint we have outlined of like kind of the backstory, everything, I think is fairly interesting. And I think from what we've heard, everyone's kind of happy with it for the most part. Our artist has also found a good way to kind of another thing in the game was like there's portraits of everyone in the family. That's kind of part of connecting them. We were a little worried about like, oh shit, how are we gonna get all this art in? Thankfully, there's AI for that, which for my opinion is for larger AAA products. I find it a little distasteful if they use a lot of AI generated art or assets or whatnot. But I mean, when you view it as a tool to kind of get like a concept going up like this is not going to be a product we're not going to necessarily sell. Might be once we finish it, but this might be the prototype of it. So in kind of smaller cases like this, I kind of view it as using like stock photos or stock footage. And I find I was surprised at how useful that's been in kind of, speeding the development of things up in this project. So yeah.
Absolutely. And do you think, I know you mentioned maybe in an hour or two you'd see where you're at, but do you think after the game jam you're going to keep developing this?
I don't know. I mean, this prototype, probably not like the technology we have here, but I do think it's an interesting concept, and I do think, you could tell more stories with Tangled Family Tree. So maybe not this exact product, but it could definitely be used as a springboard to create even more interesting things in the future. We'll see. It's right now I'm just focused on the next 24 hours, not the next month. You know what I mean? So ask me again in a day.
Good call. Well, Tom, thank you so much. Sorry to take you away from the game development, but thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, that's the next interview and remind everyone what your game's name is.
Family Roots.
Family Roots. All right, back to you. Well, thanks for the toss. We're up here. So sorry to take you away from the game development right here. We're here with Chris, Team 1 or Team 2? Which one do you want to be?
What's the other team?
Well, the other team. Do you want to be team number 1 or
Sprout. Team Sprout.
Okay, there's no hierarchy here. It's a democracy. Don't you worry. All right, so do you have a working title for your game yet?
Sprout.
It is Sprouts.
Hence Team Sprout.
That's a good call. Right on the nose. How many cups of coffee deep are you in?
1 monster so far.
Okay. Keep it man-made.
Hey, I said monster yesterday. I gotta stick to my guns. Right?
He's a man of his word. So, what's sort of the workflow you got? You're a bit of a game jam veteran, I've heard. So far, a couple of globals and 1 or 2 progressives, hopefully.
Yeah, few progressives, couple of globals. So yeah. I don't know
So
if that's a veteran or not, but
in my book, you're doing great. You're doing great. So what's sort of the workflow? You've done this a couple times. How are you combining the different assets from each individual on the team? My guess would be during something longer like a progressive game jam, you would have more time to help combine everybody's contributions. But here with only 48 hours, is it I make this, you make that, boom, all right, next segment, or is it at the 47-hour mark, are we crunching to get everything together?
yeah. So whenever something gets done, it just gets pushed straight to our Git, and that just keeps things nice and flowing smooth. Other than that, it's basically like, I need this. We need this right now. Get it done, right? And so I get the fun job of yelling at people to hurry up and work harder.
Absolutely. Guys, is that okay that you're okay with being yelled at all day? Okay. No physical abuse at Global Game Jam, guys. We are doing everything we can. So what are some of the softwares that you're using? I heard you mention GitHub for combining some of the...
Yep. So we got Git. The engine that we're using is Godot. We're actually on the 4.0 beta. And we are using, of course, Photoshop, GIMP. The main artist Kip, he's using something else, but I forget what it is. And then we also got some people working on Sprite as well.
Okay, nice. Yeah, whatever the artist does, whatever he's using.
Whatever they're using, yeah. They do their own thing. We're like, hey, we need this. And they're like, okay, we'll get you that.
Oh, thank goodness. So with such a short amount of time, what are you doing? What kind of steps are you maybe skipping or consolidating to help speed up the process in compared to a longer development time?
Definitely animation frames. So we're going with like 3-frame animations instead of the 8 or 16 that we probably prefer if we had a longer time to work on it. Just because we have very limited resources as far as animation goes. We're probably going to be skipping out on some of the music and sound effects as well. That has yet to completely come through, so we'll see what happens with that. Coding, actually, because we're doing a platformer, that's actually coming along pretty nice. And also, Jonathan over here, he's a champ. So, yeah, I don't think that we're going to have too much problems in the coding department, luckily.
Thank you, Jonathan, for all the work you do. So I heard a little bit about the game so far. I heard something about an automatic death timer. No, something about the sprout moving through. He had to make sure he didn't stop too long or the roots would grow.
No. So that was one of the early ideas that we pitched, but this is more of a relaxed story game. We're really trying to get at the heart of it, because the idea is that you're a sprout who's experiencing this little girl's emotions through her ability to control the weather, and so we're really playing up that aspect of it more, in that there's actually no way to die. There's setbacks, but hopefully everything will come to a relatively happy ending. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, so no spoilers, but it's gonna be more of a happier story.
Well, it depends on how far we get. So we have a happy ending, and then we have a slightly less happy ending if we have time to complete that. So we'll see how far we get, and that'll kind of determine how the game plays out.
So those are just whatever ending you're going to choose. It's not going to be like the player chooses the ending?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, it's
not a branching story game. It's a linear story game, but I think it'll be a good experience.
So based upon the progress you've made so far, do you think coming up, are you going to keep developing this game past the Game Jam?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I would certainly like to. Like I said, there's definitely ways that we can improve on it after the Game Jam. Adding in those extra frames, that the extra animation frames would go a long way to just making it look a lot nicer. And then, of course, polishing up the music and the sound effects as well. So we'll see how it goes after the Game Jam, and whether or not everybody wants to keep working on it. Now, we do. A lot of the team here is actually on a progressive Game Jam game.
So you're double dipping right now.
We are double dipping right now. That's kind of, but that's kind of our main project too. So, Kobold Tactics, koboldtactics.com for anybody who wants to check it out. So, that's kind of our main our main focus right now, because we got the Progressive Game Jam and the Capital Creative Showcase that's coming up in April. So we're almost in crunch time. Where we gotta make progress on that so that we can show it off.
So this is more like the stepchild that you're like, maybe after our firstborn gets done after Progressive Game Jam, we'll come back to this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe just like any good stepchild, I have to beat it a little bit first. Yeah.
No progressive parenting. So do you think, so based upon the time crunch and everything, has there anything that's really stood out to you? Like, wow, I can't believe we got that done already, or anything sort of that?
Yeah, so actually, like I said, Jonathan over here, he's a champ, and he's got almost all of the mechanics in so far. So as far as the coding and the mechanics go, a lot of that stuff is already in, and it's looking good. It's looking really nice. Tomas over there, he's working on the on our backgrounds and some of our in-game assets. Stuff like that. So, it's all coming together. Maybe not quite as fast as I would like, but whenever you're looking at a bunch of volunteers and everybody doing it on their own time, it's coming along really well for the amount of time that we have to work on it.
Absolutely the best you could ask for with this.
Absolutely.
So my favorite part of video games are the Easter eggs. When the dev sneaks like, oh, the name of this item is this or that from his personal life. Are we going to see any Easter eggs?
I'm going to be completely honest. The entire game is kind of an Easter egg.
Yeah. How does that work? That goes against the definition of it.
Yeah, so the entire game is kind of an Easter egg. My wife is actually a story. She writes children's books, and so the idea for the little girl controlling the weather through her emotions is actually a book that she is in the process of writing right now. So she sent me the script for the story, and I liked it so much that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna steal some of that.
So this has just been a sweet love story this whole time, and you brought in all your friends here to make it a good. Look at this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Partner of the Year award. Is there anything else you want to highlight about the game?
No, I'm sure that there's a ton of stuff that I would love to highlight about it, but at this point, I'm just gonna have to say we'll see what we get done and check it out whenever we get finished. And I think it's gonna be a very enjoyable experience. Definitely gonna be one that tugs at the heartstrings.
Well, thank you, Chris. We're looking forward to seeing the end of it. I cannot wait to see a playable demo come out from you guys. Based upon the team's work, it's shaping up to be a good story, I bet.
Hopefully, yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to come up and talk to us and see how things are going.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. All right, that was this Team Sprouts. They're working on a game, and we're going to see exactly how that's going to play out at the end of this next 24-hour segment. Back to you.
So Team Sprout sounds pretty busy, double dipping, 2 games at once. That is wild. Looking forward to seeing what both teams can finish up with in the next 24 hours. But before that, hi. I'm here with Michelle Covey from Square Root Academy, our humble hosts here for the Game Jam here at Lab 7. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Square Root Academy, you are the program manager of something. What was it? What are you?
Digital arts.
Digital arts. What's your role? What's Square Root Academy?
Square Root Academy, we are a STEAM-based nonprofit.
There you go.
We are a STEAM-based nonprofit. We're located here in Sacramento, and we're really focused on bringing STEAM education to an underrepresented community. We do after-school programs, and we do weekend programs for students that might not always have access to a lot of the STEAM education that we're trying to bring them.
Wow, and this is how do your students get involved? Like, how do they hear about Square Root Academy? How are they signed up for these programs?
Well, a lot of it is word of mouth. We go and we'll do one-off events, and we'll do programs at schools, and then they'll hear from there. They get on our mailing list, and we do a lot of things at like community centers.
Cool.
We do tabling events and stuff, and just try to get them interacting with technology, getting them interacting with, like, sometimes we have robots, other times we have like digital art things on the iPads. So
what age range usually?
We try to do 7 to 12, or 7th grade to 12th grade.
Oh, okay, I was like going to say, dang, all right, get them started young.
Yeah.
What are some of the cooler projects, in your opinion, that you've been able to host and walk these kids through?
Well,
Of course, I'm digital arts, so as much as I like the robots and stuff, I'm really excited. Right now we're doing a new animation program. We have a lot of scholars that are already super excited to start their 2D animations.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we're going to bring in GarageBand and have them doing like background music and stuff.
Well, you know what we can do with all of those students who are learning those skills? Get them on the next Game Jam. These are all skills we can use with game development.
Yeah, that's the next step for them, really.
That's so cool. What am I missing? Anything else about Square Root that you want to promote or say?
Not that I can think of.
It's a really cool program. Sign your kids up. It's free, right?
Oh yeah, everything is always free.
Awesome.
The important thing is getting it out there and getting that STEAM education to the scholars.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Michelle. Before we head back out on the floor, I want to check in with my friend Travis, who owns the 1UP Retro Video Games a few blocks away from here. It's a really cool little local video game shop here in Sacramento. Take it away, you handsome devil. Thank you for that lovely toss. We're stepping away from Global Game Jam now, going about a mile or so away down the street to 1UP Retro Video Games. I'm here with the owner, Travis. What a lovely store he has here. I would be willing to bet that all these developers that are back at the show have been through these doors. This is kind of like a landmark video game spot here in Sacramento. Tell us a little about your store.
It is, yeah. So basic thing, we do buy, sell, trade, old school to new stuff. Tonight we're actually doing an event for the Dead Space remake.
Once. I can't do that all the time.
We carry everything from Atari to PS5, and we got a bunch of good stuff out right now, actually. Consoles, games, all kinds of goodies. We even got a boxed Rob down there, pretty sweet. Carry some merch stuff, too.
I see a GameCube. I see, is that a Dreamcast?
It is.
Dreamcast. We got the Genesis, Sega Saturn, a boxed Rob. What's some of the, what would you say, like some of the rarer high-ticket items that you've seen come through your store?
Ooh, yeah, boxed Rob. He is pretty expensive. I've had a World Championship cart come in to get certified. That was pretty cool.
World Championship cart? Like
for NES.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't really made those things.
Yeah.
Some really cool rare things. You were just telling me before we went on that you got a whole huge Switch trade-in, bunch of games on the Switch shelf that I've never even heard of before.
Tons of new stuff, yeah. Limited run, some super rare games. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff.
Not just that, but like I was saying, the developers have all come through these doors. There's a small community that you've built also, being here for what, about 2.5 years now?
Yep, yeah, a little over 2 years. And then we do events too. So we've had people who are developing, then they release a game. We had just last year someone who did a little launch party here. So that was pretty cool, kind of supporting our local developers and seeing what comes of that.
It is a cool spot, really solid location in the middle of downtown on J Street in Sacramento. So whenever you're in Sacramento, make sure you stop by 1UP Retro Video Games or follow on Instagram, see what's going on here, and then make sure you make a trip. Thanks so much, Travis, for being here. We'll see you at the Global Game Jam.
Yeah, see you there.
Wow, what a great interviewer also.
Yeah, wow, what a guy.
What a guy. No, for real though, like I do love that shop. I'm good friends with Travis, and that Dead Space event he was talking about, we shot that like a week ago. Dead Space had come out, and we played the game leading up to like the 9 p.m. release so people can see what the game is like before they, terrifying, by the way. And we're doing it again on Tuesday coming up with the new Hogwarts Legacy game.
Ooh, can't wait for that one.
I know, it's going to be pretty sick.
Yeah.
But that's it for us.
All done.
They have another day to make their game, but we're out of here. Thank you so much for joining us, for checking in on Sacramento and being a part of our Game Jam.
And once these developers are done, tomorrow all these games will be playable on globalgamejam.org.
Search for Sprout and Family Genealogy if you want to check out Tom's game, Chris's game, and what Sacramento has to offer.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the next jam. My name is Taylor.
I'm Adam.
And that's it. Bye-bye.